Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. In tonight's evening live stream, I'll be covering Megadima's level pack, which is as follows. It consists of 7 World Masters and a Star Droid from other Mega Man games, followed by 6 Robot Slayers Fortress levels. This level pack's titled Mega Man New Rival. The gist of the story is that we have these aforementioned masters coming back from other Mega Man games, but they got hacked by the 3 main villains who named themselves the Robot Slayers, so it's up to Mega Man and Co. to stop them. So, as usual, I'm gonna roll the die for this one, and begin with the following stage. Hacked Bounce Man at the Night Tower by Memych, 154 plays and a score of 70. When I said Megadima, that's the alternate name for Memych. I didn't realize they got that many reviews for this. That makes me hopeful for this pack's quality. I'm going to be alternating between characters between stages, so keep that in mind. Bouncy. Wait. What's down here? Oh, that's the escape route in case we choose the wrong stage. Sorry for the start of the latest stream, there was some stuff I need to fix. Certainly looks like a fun house. Welcome to stream, Jaden, Manubi, and Jay Butters, as well as all the lurkers. Keep going, I guess. I was okay with the raw Hornet rolls being introduced over spikes, but this one, due to how they function, due to how the Guts Hats functions, I wouldn't do that. I know they're fairly straightforward, but still, place them over. The first one should not be over a pit. Afraid I won't be able to grab those. Alright, so that location is not a village, it's a theme park / resort. Fair enough. Alright, as for scheduling, tomorrow morning will be the demo showcase of Escape from Ever After. It should take about 45 minutes or so. What happens if it gets done sooner? Probably cover another demo as well. Something like this. This is like a better introduction to this challenge, or gimmick. Just remove the enemies and it's fine. Heck, you don't actually need to remove the enemies due to where it's placed. Yeah, it's fine. Stream the start was delayed a bit due to certain other things I had to take care of. I'm more looking forward to next week, to be fair. Because next week we have Mega Man Maker, the return of Dead of a Wish, The Capcom stream Sunday morning with Clex. Sunday evening, I don't know if I'll have something. I'll see about that. Not to mention, Friday evening has... I'm gonna be watching in a group the finale of Murder Drones. Not to mention play a bunch of multiplayer games with my buds at the Super Freak server. I know you're kind of jesting there, but I wouldn't say there are barely any useless gimmicks in this engine. Merely there are more useful ones. Alright. You know, looking back at the history of Mega Man Maker levels, I'm really happy to see how more and more of these level pack levels have included a weapon showcase at the end of the regular RM stage, where you're forced to use the weapon to proceed. In the early level pack levels, that wasn't the case. Once they defeated the Roadmaster boss, you got the weapon and finished the stage immediately. But as more stages, level packs included this feature, more took the lead. Thank you, Mega Man 11. As for the stage itself, for two out of 3 gimmicks, it's fine. The Guts Hover needed a better introduction. Also, for the other joke to Jaden, no. Partners and time is saved for November-December. That's not being changed. Let's see. Again, tomorrow I'm gonna be placing a vote for that. See, again, I don't want to start anything new until I finish Dead of a Wish or something else, so let's see. Well, here's the thing. Next Sunday, or rather 8 days from now, from where I am at, that's gonna be Magpul Tree. Tomorrow's a demo, so you're talking about 2 weeks later. You're referring to September 1st. I'll see what happens then. Alright, rolling the die again. Next on the chopping block is Hacked Cold Man at the Frozen Village. 96 plays and a score of 50. Okay, switching characters. You know what, let's do this as base. Yep. That's what I've been That's what I've been saying in the earlier stream, previous stream, and another stream we're part of, Jaden. Okay, there's my escape hatch in case things go awry. I'm gonna be doing a co-collab stream with Klex for Tier 8. So, we're gonna co-commentate on not just our stage, but a few others. Ironic, but hilarious. Alright, I'm gonna repeat the schedule for next week in case people weren't in the know. Next Saturday is gonna be Mega Man Maker, and in the evening of that day, Dead of a Wish returns. Then Sunday morning is the return of Magpul Tree, this time Tier 8 co-coms. And the Sunday after that, I'll be starting either Freedom Planet or Spark the Electric Jester. I'll open a poll after the stream tomorrow for that. I'll open a poll tomorrow morning, after tomorrow morning's stream, and then we can do the vote. Hey Paul, is there any Magma game I never played? Nope, I've played all of them. Whether 100% all of them though is a different answer. I'm not sure which one is that one because you could be referring to two different levels there. Hang on a second. Come on. Okay, need to initiate a little bit higher. Of course, I just slide right off of it. Yes! No. The way it's placed like that, you would think there would be something there. Oh well. Back to the stage. My plan for Freedom Planet is I'm going to be covering at the very least Lilac's playthrough, but if I like the game enough or enough people ask me to continue, I'll do one more playthrough with a different character. Like gameplay wise, it's great, or at the very least it's good. I don't mind secrets being only available for certain characters, but it just looked like there would be something there. Also, I think there are some other movement abilities I could obtain. You don't need to spoil the name of the stage, Power. I'm okay, I already know the names of most of the stages. Heads-ups about how long the stages are well appreciated. Like, if a stage is gonna be super long, I'd like to know that in advance. Well, it's not just that, Jaden. There's also the fact of alternate routes and the character playstyles being different enough to the point where the way you approach levels can be quite different. It's not like talking about the difference between Mega Man, Classic, and Base. Especially the telekinetic one. Oh man, I've seen some of the speedruns with her. Those are very tech-heavy. Nope, this is not Lepatio's level pack. If it was, there would be a lot more spikes and it would have died 2,000 times by now. There's not enough spikes to make... There's not enough spikes or life setters to be a Lepatio level. I'm sorry. Yeah, her. Mila or Mia. Goodbye. Yeah, music's awesome. Interesting. I know Dead of a Wish is certainly one of the more impactful games I played, especially in terms of the story and teams. It didn't force me to do a cold sweat, but it did force me to think about some of the decisions I made throughout the game. Also, really like how the game pulls not only your heartstrings, but how it does its twists. Mila. Thanks. Well, I know for a fact that Fu Man is at the tail end of Tier 8, so I could probably save it for its own stream. I think I like this more than the first one. It's cool. Yeah, I've seen the tech you can pull off with your telekinetic abilities and being able to spawn blocks, and oh goodness, you can zoom in both directions pretty fast. It's incredible. Like, I know I make fun about the story sometimes, and I want to discuss that, but the game's tech, it's pretty good. That's the strength of psychological horror. I know that Dead of a Wish is not marked as horror, but you could argue it's psychological. But eh. Enough of that, let's move on to the next stage. Splash Woman, the hacked variant at the Sunken Temple, 90 plays and a score of 43. I mean, in terms of birthday games left for the year, okay. There's Freedom Planet, Spark the Electric Jester, and Snatcher CD. Snatcher is going to be saved for its own time. I'll figure out when is the best one. Ideally not right now because I just did a visual novel. I will return back to Your Turn to Die once that game, the final chapter, is released. The way things going, oof. That's gonna be hype. Short answer, not enough people were interested in me keeping... Short answer, not enough viewers, and waning interest. I like the game, sure, but, especially with the first one, it's not as conducive to LPing it. If I do it off stream, sure, I can fast forward and stuff, but when I stream, it's eh. If it was the second game, I'd be more conducive to that, but... Second or third, but the first one... I did the initial showcase of Monica's hack, but otherwise, in terms of viewer count and interest, I had to shelve it. And besides, with all the other indie games and other stuff coming out, I realized that I might as well just save it for those. And hey, if you like the game enough, you can play it on your own time too. That's something I suggest for all for every game I play. If you enjoy what you're seeing, feel free to play it yourself. Not necessarily. Wildermid actually got a decent view count due to from all the edited episodes. And Noctis, we had quite a few viewers coming in and out. Unfortunately, I wouldn't prefer doing premieres because then I have to just split the time between the other pre-recorded episodes. And ooh, Rising section. That's a different way of doing this. Usually it's from fire or gravity doors, or the gravity elevator. I mean. Astro elevator. But this one's just using the water rising itself. But compared with those games, Shining Force's viewership dropped off a lot faster. I'm sorry. Again, if there's a game any of you like, but I've put on the back burner or put in hiatus, feel free to play it yourself. And remember, if you really want me to finish the game, get back to it and finish the game, you could request for it to be a birthday game next year, and I will go back to it and finish it. Birthday games are the exception to the usual rules because, assuming they don't violate the rules or I already approve it, I will complete them. Or I will beat them. You say... Lilac is harder to play because she has many spots where you can mess up the combos. Oh! Hey, Shallot Muscles! Long time no see! The last part of the stage was the most interesting part because it took a little bit of different take on Rising Water. In general, this level pack has been certainly a breath of fresh air in terms of difficulty. Like, it's something like a moderate skilled player could fairly straightforwardly complete. Even someone who is somewhat of a novice player too could do that. It does use the gimmicks, sure, but they're never too... the enemy and gimmick configurations are never too punishing. Alright, once we get to next year, then you can make a decision, because there's still several months left in the year, and some new releases may come out that may change it. Okay... yeah. Fourth on the lineup is Hacked Sheepman at the Fuse Factory, 66 plays, score of 30. I've heard a lot of good things about Slay the Princess. Amtara's been an older title, so that may be more of a wild card pick. Here we go. Ow. Oh no. Really, I say the word oh no too much for these situations, especially when it's not La Patio or they're dead pits or dead spikes or I'm low in health. I see. Well, like I said, you still have time, Jaden. You have plenty of months left. Keep in mind, everyone wants their favorite games to be played on the channel eventually, so... Not to mention, there's all those other new games coming out. Other indie games I want to showcase. Games I play in my own time, etc, etc. All competing for time. Like, you've seen my enormous list of games I eventually want to play on the channel. It only grows larger and larger every single day. It never shrinks in size, it only grows. Such is the case of most backlogs, I'm afraid. Could be worse. I could be a channel focusing on JRPGs. Or WRPGs or CRPGs. Oh my goodness. I'm really thankful that most of the games I play can be beat within 10 to 20 hours. Very well. And that game is for the Game Boy Advance, am I correct? Mid-boss guarding the door. Okay, Sheepman. I was kind of expecting more electric gimmicks or more heavy use of that, but I guess it suffices. I'm not waiting for that. And we get the thundercloud for our efforts. Oh, exactly, Shallot. The ratio of add to list versus game completed, let alone game 100%ed or mastered. Oh. Ah yes, the difference between the games I wish to cover on the channel, the games I own, and the games I've actually already covered on the channel. And this isn't a bit, I'm only counting like individual titles. I'm not counting stuff like the DLC or ROM hacks or fan games. If we add them, there's a reason why I only really focus on Mega Man fan games and ROM hacks, because if I also included stuff like Mario or Sonic, I would already have enough fan content to cover me for years. And new stuff is coming out day after day, sometimes pretty good stuff. Oh, Ham Ham Unites for the Game Boy Color. You'll have to pick between one or the other. I don't know what Virtuoso is again. I'm assuming it's one of the other... Is that also for Eternal Noctis? Oh, notable games I got to complete this year? Let me double check. Alright, bringing up my Let's Play spreadsheet. Okay, notable games Oh, I'm not doing the boss rush. No. I'm sorry, that's too far above my skill level. Unless there are checkpoints where I can resume from, I'm not doing it. That's a hard no for me. Okay, notable games I got to cover this year. If you're talking in terms of famous ones, then the most famous one I covered this year would be Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Now, if you're talking about one of my favorite games, then that's Superstar Saga and Dead of a Wish. Dead of a Wish is almost done. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Boar Blasters has 1 or 2 episodes left. I will get that beaten off stream. Boar Blasters, again, it reminds me of the Flash game era of mining games, so yeah, that's why. Functionally, that's how it should be treated. I just wish the storyline had less padding. Like, I don't mind, for example, the infinite dive or random challenges, keep those, but I think the story should advance a bit faster. Or rather, when I say advance a bit faster, you can still have levels where you're mining, but I want to see story progression in almost every level. Don't worry, J Butters. That is on my to-play list, and I do own that game. I got it in a bundle. Fifth on the lineup is Hacked Grenade Man in the Town of Explosion. 64 plays and a score of 30. I paused for a moment because, what? Town of Explosion? Oh wait, I already did her. Sure. Actually, no, Windman's one of the ones coming up. Mega Man, you sub in. Off we go, building. I'll save Proto for later. I forget why I created this NSF pack. I took it from a different level pack, and it stuck by me for over a year now. I mean, Thunderbolt is actually somewhat useful in this engine. The issue is that, well, unlike Mega Man 10, where it was one of the worst weapons in that game, here it actually has several uses. The issue is it usually gets outclassed by other stuff. But the fact that it actually multi-hits and its range on ground is pretty decent. It's kind of like Fire and Forget. You can sort of use it like a Fire and Forget weapon. Now, if you could use that in addition to another special weapon, immediately become a lot better. One of the issues with Thunderbolt is that when it's active, well, you can't use any other weapons without turning that off or decommissioning it. It is also good area. It is also good anti-air. You're right, because of the straight line. Ooh. There's only a very few games I played that I viscerally dislike. So I'll be checking that. What? Okay, so I formed the ice wall, the walking bomb jumped on top of it, and jumped into the heavens, despawning. I had to do a double take there. Could you give a overview of why you disliked it? In under 250 words, please. Whoa. Okay. I forgot, yeah, he can destroy these blocks. Right, and we can do the same now. The reason why I dislike it is mostly based off of personal emotional reasons. Okay, it's one of those things. Fair enough. Let's see... Stone, Wind, or Pluto? Rolling the die. Stone Man, the hacked version, in Destruction Force. 113 plays and a score of 62. Oh, wait. Wait. Hang on. We need to sub out. There you go. Uh-oh. This is the NSF track that kind of glitches out. Or may glitch out. I'm dead. Oh, wow. Skip. Oh, it's because of some of the philosophical points and teams in the later part of the game. That makes me more interested. Oh, Yashishi. If there's an enemy with barely any iframes, the Flash Bomb and Thunder will absolutely wreck them. Flash Bomb more so because it's faster. Or rather, it activates faster. Now, if you could use both at the same time, Yep, there it is. I've always thought what would be the strongest Mega Man weapons if iframes existed less. Actually, that's an interesting thought experiment. I didn't realize there were spikes down there. Oops. As I was saying, here's an interesting thought experiment. What would the strongest special weapons be in Mega Man Classic if enemy iframes were halved? Or they were barely existent? Like, let's say instead of like the whatever the iframes they have now, it's reduced to 0 or 1 frame. What would then be the strongest Mega Man Classic weapons? And on the flip side, what if the number of enemy iframes was increased to be the same as the boss iframes? What would the strongest special weapons become then? Bouncy. I say that because, for example, when I first played Mega Man Sunrise, that was before the patch where they actually reduced the enemy boss, where they reduced the enemy iframes to be like the enemy iframes in the World games, instead of sharing the same number of iframes as the bosses. Oh, the humans are bastards trope? That is something I'll have to save the discussion for later, because my thoughts on that are very complicated. Because it's very much depends on how it's portrayed in the game itself, or piece of media in general. It seems also it's partly also due to your own life experiences and perceptions and views of the world. Like, I used to dislike the trope quite a bit. Now though, I have a more complex view that I can't really unpack right now because it requires quite a bit of thinking. And frankly, that requires me unpacking a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be comfortable doing tonight. Alrighty then. 7th up is Hacked Windman at the Sanctuary Wind. 61 plays, score of 30. I wouldn't say it always feels nagging or holier than thou. Because, again, it depends. Prototype. J Butters, you're saying that it's more a corruption of the terrible system, and because of how terrible the system is, the people who take advantage of it without changing things, they're treated like the horrible people they are. Well, I'll see for myself when I eventually cover that. Remember, your mileage may vary in many of these things. I want to find out for myself because everyone has their own biases. Wait a second. Ice Wall shenanigans. Ice Wall, my beloved. You know, I like it. I like it when a game has something to say that isn't just... I like it when games have something to say rather than just... We're going from point A to point B with barely any story and excuse plot, which is perfectly fine for a lot of games. I mean, Mega Man Classic is one of my favorite video game franchises, but sometimes I want more than that. I will say one thing, if I was 10 years younger, I would wholeheartedly agree with you, Jaden. Ooh. The nice thing is, even if I stood on for too long, I'll be able to damage Roos off the explosion. Again, these challenges are not too difficult, but they still pose a bit of a hazard. Like, this is closer to what the Mega Man Classics level design would be. The levels here are longer than the NES games, but compared to many fan games and Mega Man pre-11, I wouldn't say these levels are playing it safe, but they're certainly playing it easier, with not as complicated setups and not as punishing with failure. Oh sure, there are several points where you can die in the second half stages, see this for example. But each stage feels different from each other and doesn't feel like they're clone design. They have different challenge curves, difficulty expectations, or let me put it this way, they don't have identical ways like they don't identically set up the challenges, just with different gimmicks and enemies. There's different stage flows, escalations, recombinations, etc, etc. Even the difficulty curves are slightly different. Overall though, it amounts to the stages being moderately difficult, or suitable for moderately skilled players, but that's just me. The way you're describing it, Jaden, I think it's also a case of different interpretations of the same title. Like, the way J-Bot is describing the game, it seems closer to Humans Are Flawed. Oh boy. Yes! Close one there. But that's just me. I think it bears a revisit or something. Like, here's the thing. At a certain, at least let me preface this by saying this. At a certain point, when does Humans Are Flawed become Humans Are Bastards? That is very subjective, and sometimes often they overlap with each other. And just because people are evil now doesn't mean they'll stay being evil in the future. People can change, for both better and for worse. And it's also kind of relative, like I don't really consider that. I keep this a PG-13 stream, so I don't really consider that hard, so I'll keep that. For these sorts of air stages, I was expecting a lot more painful wind mechanics, but even if you don't play as base, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not too punishing. Good and evil itself can be relative terms. I've learned that. Alright, the 8th and final master is Hacked Pluto at the Conveyor Bunker. 61 plays, score 25. Oh, certainly. Let's see, who's left? I did roll, I did him. I think it's Proto. No, I just did Proto. Hang on. Oh, certainly. It won't change their evil deeds. It won't change their past. But they've changed their future. I played as Proto Man and Windman's... Let's see, Grenade Man I did as... Okay, yeah, Proto Man. Actually, wait a second. Windman I fought with Proto Man because I had the deflector. Stone Man was Roll. Grenade Man was... By logical extension, it'd have to be Mega Man. So, base time. As I was saying, people who change for the better won't change their past, but it can change their future. They'll have to spend the rest of their lives atoning for their previous sins and evil deeds. Sometimes it's not enough, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't stop trying. Sometimes it is enough, for sometimes some bridges can be repaired. You won't know until you try. But there's another important thing. Even if they try to make amends for their evil deeds against the people who wronged them, towards the people who they've wronged, the people they wronged, they're under no obligation to forgive them. But you're right, Power, as well. At a certain point, more punishment doesn't solve anything. Bergen truckin', going back to Undertale. Man, now we're diving into philosophy tonight. Not when I expected when I was going to cover the Shuffle Pack. To go back to your point, Jaden, again, I'm going to just summarize it by saying it's complicated. I need to see the game for myself before I can determine what it's specifically trying to say and whether I find it offensive or not. I mean, all these levels are using their gimmicks to an okay to decent degree. Like, if we just talk about these levels just existing, they'd be on the good side of existing. Like, I certainly played these over most of the levels on the most popular queue. And to be fair, half the levels I get sent to as viewer submissions. They're not good, mind you, and to my standards, but they're okay or decent. Solid foundations that need to be built upon. Actually, I'll say it this way, they're decent at the very least. Most of them. Solid foundations that can be expanded upon. But when I say decent, I'm saying this from the perspective of a player who's looking for a little bit more of an in-depth, challenging experience. But that's not necessarily what this pack is being geared toward, from what I'm interpreting. It's more geared towards medium-skilled players who want a decent challenge without getting too difficult, who want a decent challenge that reminds them of the NES and Mega Man classic fan games without getting too tough or mind-bending. And this perfectly suits that goal. If I was rating it from that perspective, I'd say it's almost good. Come, kitty. Okay. Okay. That's the reverse of what I thought was supposed to happen. Sometimes the best thing you can do is move on. Not necessarily forgive those who wronged you, but move on. This is a pretty complicated thing, and the way I address it is more on a case-by-case basis. I'll just say this. I'll end up with this before I go back to the level pack. People change. It doesn't necessarily... People change over time. People's past can explain why they took their actions. It doesn't necessarily justify them. And even if some of those sins and evil acts can't be overcome or are unforgivable, that doesn't mean they shouldn't stop trying to better themselves, become better people. Forgiveness is not mandated, but self-improvement, becoming a better person, that is something we should all strive for. But that's just my 2 bolts. Anyways, we defeated all the Roadmasters in that single star droid. On to the Robot Slayer's Fortress. 65 plays, score 27. Forgive me if I sound a bit mixed or loopy on this matter. When I got into the stream tonight, I didn't expect a philosophical discussion on forgiveness, good versus evil, etc. Why is there an escape hatch here? It's not like you have an alternate choice. I like to think I'm slowly becoming better over time, but that's just something that requires quite a bit of self-reflection. It's the Magma Tree Skip Teleporter. Back with a vengeance. Alright, I got the Double Buster. I forgot. For those not in the know, the Break Dash Buster deals double damage. 2 damage per hit. I forgot about its existence, or rather the damage ramping, until last week. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was surprised that the break dash buster deals double damage. Like, does it really need that? And why is it the only weapon that basically replaces the buster with a better buster for free? I mean, in that way it outclasses the charge shot in some situations. Maybe it's to get more incentive to use the break dash more often, instead of just using its main ability. It also sends this twice as far. Double the force. And you know which character benefits the most from this. That's right, base. Now imagine having this double damage buster while also being able to double jump and dash. Think about it. It's already good. It's already good enough. The fact you can already use the Buster at base, it already makes it useful. Ah, got cover. Oh, that's fair, newbie. I've been taking my time on that. Super broken indeed. Sheesh. Again, when I first played this game, I didn't the double damage is it's not really documented in the description for the weapon. So I thought it was just like the regular Buster, that's it. I relearned about this fact a week or two ago. I wish we had different color skip teleporters for that reason. For me, I made a vow... Oh. Nope, no damage for this. This is the first stage, mind you. We're not even in the end of the stage. We're not even at the end of the fortress. And now we're just fighting this one. We're fighting Wily immediately. Uh-oh. Of course, so he doesn't take triple damage. Fair. Eep. Be gone, Wily. Eat thunder. I made a vow for my Magma Tree playthrough to not skip any stages as hard as possible. Like, I will skip a stage, and I will use the skip teleporter if I'm stuck in a really stuck in a stage, but usually if I'm stuck in a stage, I'll just skip past it and get back to it later. Like, I am gonna visit the skip teleporters just for the reasons, but not actually utilize the end of stage option. You've been beating one tier every 1.5 days on average. That's pretty fast. There haven't been any Metroidvania levels yet, thankfully, but... I've been warned there's at least one of them. Nah. Such is the conversations in Late Night Mega Man. Sometimes you think you're going to talk about one thing, but you go down 3 different topics instead. I would advise... My suggestion is that if you see a skip teleporter... it's fine to go in there and check the reasons for why the stage is skippable. And if you think the stage sounds too difficult or you don't like what the challenges are going to be, fine, skip it. But to just exclusively skip right through every single level with a skip teleporter, I disagree with. Heck, if I did that, I would have not been able to play through Identity Man, and that's currently one of my favorite levels during the playthrough, despite how janky it is. Congrats, Power. Okay, before I go back to the level pack... Sorry. Before I get back to the level pack, I'll comment at that point. Regardless of whether the most interpretation... Mega Man Maker and... Regardless of whether the Mega Man Metroidvanias are good or awful or whatever, putting them in a contest like this, that's not a recommended thing, because some of the Metroidvanias can be pretty long, necessarily so, which is fine if they're in their own fan game, with saving and loading other features. But to put it in a game with all these contest entries, over 100 of them, and to have a stage that takes over half an hour. Half an hour, mind you, if you're playing without dying, that is excessive. In that case, yeah, take the skip teleporter. What level was that? Oh yeah, never mind. I know the level you're talking about. It had a lot of bosses for sure, and I got lost, so I had to do it 4 times. Honestly, the most painful stages in that game aren't even the quote-unquote bad ones. Oh sure, there's X6 meme, but then there's what Jay Butters talked about. But that's a different kind. If there's one thing this game is also, if Magma Tree has also taught me, it's that a few level designers would do a lot better if they actually made their own fan game with one elongated level. I'd be happy to cover those. You can put a Metroidvania, you can submit a Metroidvania to these contests, but you have to make sure that they're mini versions, like they can be completed within 10 to 15 minutes. I've seen those being possible. There are mini Troidvanias or mini Metroidvanias, but it seems like no one tries doing that for these contests. Alright, on to Robot Slayer's Fortress 2, 66 and 21. At least to me, only one of the stages with the epilepsy warning was really eye-scarring to me. I know, I repeated my own statement there. Let me rephrase it. There was only really one stage, the one with the heat flashbangs, that was a little bit painful for my eyes. Otherwise, in terms of visual warnings, nothing was too bad. Heck, even Beats level back in Magma 2 wasn't too bad for me. Looks like a job for the ice wall. Portaman doesn't take double damage, thank you. Yep, that's the one he disqualified in Magma 2. In terms of motion sickness, he's the one who seems to be most affected. He was the one who seems to be most affected by these sorts of things. Well, he won't be back for whatever comes next, so... Again, this is also one of the reasons why I made a vow not to skip levels during my Magma playthrough. Because stuff like this can be subjective. I don't know... Oh, too short. With how they're faring currently... I don't have much hope. They're definitely putting effort in, Manubi, and I applaud them for that. It's just that they're submitting the they're submitting their levels for not the most ideal format or area. Even murder hobo games can be fun. Darn it, not far enough. It depends. Let's actually do this the correct way, please. Hey, if we have forced weapon usage, I'm gonna use my weapons then. I wouldn't even call that a murder hobo game, really. Like, that doesn't even... What would even qualify for that? Let me rephrase the question. Why would you even consider that to be a quote-unquote murder hobo game? Like, it just reminds me of a bunch of classic NES games. Like, G.I. Joe, Contra, Bad Dudes, Power Blade. Watch out for spikes. You can actually suddenly see the spikes off screen. This darkness gimmick's more for thematic purposes and for you to pay more attention to. Functionally, what this does is it creates a tighter arena without physically making a tighter arena because of obscuring your field of view or vision. I like it. It's not usually how the darkness gimmick's done in Mega Man Maker. This is not as obtrusive, and I really like it. Also, Purple Fortress. Pretty. Absolutely, J Butters. They really need to get some R&R and some therapy. And besides, there are plenty of Mega Man fan games and other games and media coming out on a daily basis. I said this before, and I'll say this again. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. This is more for the people who are kind of impatient, not for any of you active viewers here. You're all patient enough. Oh gosh, I'm dead. Oh, a game with barely any philosophical teams? That'd be One Finger Death Punch. Like, Prison City has some teams. Like, about authority versus anti-authority, the twist at the end. If we're talking about a game that basically has no philosophical teams, which are a rarity to be honest, and where you just focus on killing or dispatching enemies, that's One Finger Death Punch. Do you even have a weakness? I'm guessing no. Yeah, that's no, so I'll have to do this the classic way. Like, when you really think about it, most of the games I cover on the channel have some themes, or some thematic elements, even the ones that have excuse plots. But One Finger Death Punch, it's pared down so much to the act of punching stickmen that it doesn't really have any themes. Oh, pff. Oh, pff. Yeah, the gyres don't help. I need to get my game on and stop sucking at this. Hang on. No. I can't deflect it either. Oh man, this is really gonna suck. Like, when I really think about it, the only game in recent memory I covered which only really focuses on killing enemies and basically has no story or teams, really, that's One Finger Death Punch. As I said, pared down everything to just focus on gameplay. And it's pretty darn good gameplay at that. I win! Oh. Imagine if I got killed there. That would be hilarious. Tackle fire with gun... maybe? Like, I don't know what in the world happened at the end there. I guess that could count as well. Like, Eddie's World and Ring Around the Castle did have some themes, even if it was really excuse plots. That one, it felt like a random collection of levels that Tackle Fire with Gun just rampaged through. Okay, in terms of the levels in the Fortress, this is currently my favorite one. On use of the different challenges. Also, Purple Palace. On to Fortress Stage 3, 58 plays, score 25. Man, Episode 0 is still one of my favorite fan games out there. If the game has nothing to offer besides the story, isn't that basically a visual novel then? Or better served as being a visual novel? Like, if a game's everything excluding the story is bad, they might as well just make a visual novel. At least then the players and readers can actually focus on the best part. Noctis sort of has an excuse plot, but it stops being an excuse plot the further you get in, because you keep talking with a bunch of NPCs and world details which lead back to the main point about the whole war between the light and dark, and that meddling in the chaos meddling in the middle, making that whole war making everyone suffer, and the world being mostly freaking destroyed. Like, Ateranox is an example of a game that started with an excuse plot, but as we further develop, it becomes less and less of an excuse plot because everything wraps back to that. Not just gameplay-wise, but story-wise. Ow. I completely botched this room. GG me. Like, love requires sacrifice. That's one team as we get further and further in. And we've seen that not just between the King of Darkness and the Queen of Light, but also with other NPCs. Like, remember the blacksmith's daughter and the blacksmith in the forge, who we rescued from the Phoenix, but only temporarily so. So he asks us to tell her that she died. And various other NPCs. Not to mention, realizing how little the Queen of Light and the King of Darkness actually care about the world, because, due to gaining all their power, they kind of become disconnected from the world's, frankly, horrific state. Like, see all the monsters that are in most of the areas, how many desolate cities and towns there are, and frankly, just how little people actually live there. It really feels like the citizens of the people of that world either just perished completely and or left the planet. They got tired of the continuous wars that happened millennia upon millennia. And we do know that spaceships exist because of those robots, as well as interdimensional travel. Projectile Party's the name. Yeah, I can't wait for episode 02. That seems like it's gonna be pretty lit. Sorry to burn that terminology. I'm sorry, that's gonna sound pretty awesome. Lunar Lux's teams are... I get what the teams are, but to be honest, they're kind of shallow. And honestly, it was such a missed opportunity. I wish the main antagonist was a true believer in their ideals, and was more of a... Because the way they are right now in the story, they let go of the mask sooner than I expected, and underneath that mask is pretty awful. Oh, wait. It's this thing, isn't? Nope. Laser Triad, then. And no, I can't break this boss. As much as I want to. Yeah, I thought so. Hang on, I can break dash, can I? Yeah. Got the final shot in, of course. I don't mind if he was still the obvious villain. That's not really what I have an issue with. The issue is how much of a facade his persona was before the reveal, or before he fully revealed himself and his true intentions. Like, if he was a true believer in the fact that we need to sacrifice these people to save the world, and not just being somewhat power hungry, or if it was more tortured in the fact that they had to sacrifice those people or perform those unethical experiments, then I think the game's teams would hit harder. And I'd like it more. I mean, to be honest, Lunar Lux's characters, most of them, the story feels really is shallower than it should be. Like, it has the foundations, but doesn't quite hit the mark in many regards. See, I kind of thought that one of the other people. See, I thought one of the scientists on our side was actually a sleeper agent or something, or feeding them information, and it'd come out clean, but no. And of course, I thought we were going to end the game by attacking the meteorite directly or something. To be honest, even if it was a BN fanfic, it'd still be shallow. Like, honestly, comparing this to, for example, Code Bunny, because that shares a lot of the developers as Lunar Lux. Code Bunny did a far better job of expressing its story in teams, because all the characters actually have more depth. Like, seriously. Compared to the male... Hang on a sec. I thought we were gonna end with the defeating Comet Coda. See, the funny thing is with Code Bunny, all the characters have just as much, if not more, and more depth compared to Nickel, who I said was the character with the most depth and who I felt had the most depth in Lunar Lux. Like, there's the whole thing about the Bellas and her respect for authority and the loss of her parent, of her mom, and somewhat distantness from her father, even though he loves her, she loves him. But I wish there was more dimensions to that character. Whereas with Code Bunny, considering how long the game is and how much we explored the story of each of the two bunnies, Axel and Hazel, they feel like they have more depth to them. And it was shorter. Like, if Lunar Lux was 10 times as short, I wouldn't be complaining about the story so much, or the shallowness of characters, because sometimes it's expected. You can't dive as much into characters in a shorter time frame. Well, you could, but that requires some changes. But even in the shorter time frame, Code Bunny makes more complex characters. It's maybe not fully 3D, but certainly 2D. Anyways, stepping back from that diversion, on to Forza Stage 4. 69 plays, score 27. I'm sorry for all these breaks in between the level pack and discussing other things, Memych. Because, to be frank, this is one of the better level packs I've played. Like, it's, even for my skill, even though it's not as in-depth or complicated as I'd hope it'd be, or wish it would be, it still does a decent job of being a fun experience. And if you're a moderately skilled Mega Man player who wants not as a challenging or complicated stuff, it's almost good to good. Welcome to the furnace. Bring your heat-resistant gear. I won't make an argument saying that a game can have... I will make an argument stating that a story can have very strong philosophical themes while still being lackluster. A story is made up of more than just a good story is made up of more than just good philosophical themes. It's also good character development. It's also good characters, good plot, locations, world building, etc., etc. Thematics are important, sure. Like, overall themes and messages are important, but you need more than that to make a good story. Like, You can have a story which delves a lot into his philosophical themes and do a good job at that, but the rest of the story can absolutely suck. You can have characters who are basically just figureheads, who basically just are mouthpieces for the author's various arguing points. And you can have the reverse. You can have a story with very good character development, characterization, locations, world building, but it completely botches. But it has very basic themes or philosophical points. Wait a second. I thought so. I don't like to call players who like combat or only combat murder hobos though. That's insulting to me. Whoops. Which is entirely fair, Manubi. In fact, that is what I prefer as well, to be honest. I prefer a story with great writing, namely good characters, world building, progression, conflict, over having strong philosophical points. Like, you can... Like, basic overused teams are not necessarily bad. To me, at least, I prefer reading stories that focus more on the characters. On the characters first, plot progression, on the characters and their interpersonal relationships between the protagonists, antagonists, and the other people of the world, sometimes shifting in and out in different roles. Followed by the world building and plot progression, I guess. Okay, when the ice... Oh, that's what happened. It thawed the ice. Character dynamics, yeah. Interpersonal relationships and dynamics. That's what I look more for. After this stage is probably the rematch. Oh, almost. Of course, doubled. Oh no, whoa boy. Let me through. Checkpoint. Glorious checkpoint. Oh. It turns off the ice wall. Let's roll. Oh, okay, I can't even... I have to use special weapons. I can't use the ice wall because it just will make the fight into a joke. Right. Well, this works too, I guess. GG. Kind of a step down, but to be fair, all these Fortress levels are fine. On to Fortress Stage 5, 48 plays, score of 19. That's something I actually criticize the X franchise for. And really, many of the entries following the Mega Man Classic era, they don't focus enough on the interpersonal relationships. I want to see more games that talk more about X and Zero as characters, and less about how... I want to see more stories that focus more on the day-to-day lives of them, and not just on the grandiose battles against the Mavericks or the fate of the world. We can talk about them facing battles, but I want to see more discussions about X and Zero going through their daily lives, going through the smaller battles, like small day-to-day, week-to-week struggles. They can deal with Mavericks, sure, but it should be closer to X-Men in my eyes. Like, we're not just battling the Violent Mavericks, but also people who consider most Reploids to be Mavericks, or discriminate against them, and vice versa. That's such a missed opportunity not focusing more on those aspects. We shouldn't... I want to see the X series focus somewhat more on not just on the large conflicts, but the small to medium day-to-day ones. Alright, rematches. Okay, we're doing something similar to Mega Man Unlimited by having a mini-stage before. This is Windman's. X4 was the closest one to that, because, honestly, in that one, most of the members of Repliforce we fought were not Mavericks. They were labeled that way because they wanted better treatment from the human populace and the hunters. And because of that, they were branded Mavericks. What didn't help was Sigma scheming from the shadows, taking advantage of all the distrust everywhere. I mean, Sigma almost won in that. Sigma mostly won in that game, to be honest. We may have saved the Earth, sure, and foiled Sigma's main plan, but we ended up killing a lot of innocent Reploids, to be honest. If anything, the game should have focused more heavily on the point of how much Sigma was basically able to take advantage of everyone's distrust to that extent. Let's try it again, shall we? I'll get back to that later. Like, when you really think about it, X4's story is pretty dark. And not just for all the loved ones who died, but not just the ones on screen who died, loved ones. Think about all the other innocent Reploids who are sympathetic to Repliforce, or worked there, or allied with them. They're all likely dead. Squish. I should have picked someone else for this. I thought it was going to be more of a basic rematch stage, but this is going the extra mile. Extra mile compared to most of the usual level packs, and having mini-stages before the fight. Unfortunately, I don't have E-tanks. That is one strange omission from this pack, to be honest. Oh, certainly. Tensions between Rebel Force and Hunters already existed. Even if the game kind of quite screwed up the story progression in that regard, you could piece that together. And if you count stuff like the manga, it becomes even more apparent. I mean, even if the X4 really needs a story remake that actually delves more into how screwed up the whole situation is between Rebel Force and the Hunters. Because this is the first, to be honest, this is the first conflict in game where most of the villains aren't even the traditional murderous Mavericks. Like, there are certainly Mavericks there, Split Mushroom, for example, but most were fighting for what they believe in. And it's not like X1 where a lot of the main bosses were... The reason why they rebelled was they were already kind of jerkish in the first place, and that's putting it lightly. Sans figures like Storm Eagle, who are basically spying. Yes! No! Finish him! We interrupted his special. What am I fighting for was really tragic, but it would have been enhanced more if it had if there was better acting. And of course, again, story progression. We should have introduced Iris in the previous game. I'm coughing too much. Oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Ugh. That could have really ended in tragedy there. Eep. I thought that was gonna take me up to the ceiling. Nope, I haven't played any Devil May Cry games. If that answers my question. Very well, let's finish him off and then move on. Again, there are numerous games I didn't play because I didn't own a PlayStation. And for a long time, at least 10 years, I grew up playing Flash games rather than console entries. I don't know if he could have because of how she was split off. I don't know if he could have because of how she was split off from Colonel. And if he wanted to rebuild her properly, he would have to rebuild Colonel as well. But of course, she also chose. And even if he did forcefully, they would go back to doing what they did before. I mean, yeah, Doom is basically, here's an excuse plot, go destroy the demons and on the Mars, Phobos, and Earth bases. Here's a gun, have fun! Electricity. So sheepy. If it's not the ball, what could it be then? Can't be. It'd be funny. It'd be hilarious if it was self. No. Break dash. It's break dash. Okay. That's not what I would use for a weakness because of how this fight works. Like, this is not ideal. Like, if anything, it should be the ice wall. Or the bounce ball. Been here before. Wait. Law of text. Would he even... First question is, could he even rebuild her, considering how damaged, her equivalent of the IC chip was? Remember, she was split off from Colonel, and if one dies, it was said in the manual if one dies, if I recall correctly, if one dies, the other will be psychically damaged quite a bit. Or it drives the other one kind of crazy. Would the authorities even allow it? Considering the way the X4 story progression was going, absolutely not. That's part of the tragedy. I mean... Part of the reason why Sigma was able to convince Repliforce like that was partly because of the authorities' fault. For Reploids, you need the IC chip, yes. With with classic robots, you need an IC chip. That is true. But with Reploids, it's more complicated. And yes, as was established by Maverick Hunter X, and I believe it also applied to the classic X series, original X1 and beyond, Sigma was able to bring back the bodies of the previous Mavericks, but not their minds. So yes, you can bring back the Reploids, but you won't necessarily bring back their minds. Or if you do, they may be irrevocably different. Like, in my mind, Metal Shark Player just revived the bodies of previous Mavericks. Oh, yeah, of course. No? Okay. Okay. Man, I don't get these weaknesses. Usually when you pick weaknesses for Roadmasters, they're supposed to counter the pattern or be relatively... They should counter the patterns or be the obvious thing to use against them. But in several cases here, at least 3 of them, it doesn't make sense why they're the weakness. Like, if we're talking about their boss pattern, it shouldn't be Windstorm what's the weakness. It should be something like the Laser Trident. Or any weapon that can basically pack a punch. If there's one thing I wish this level pack had, it'd be optional E-tanks you can grab. Nice. Iris and Others non-canon, it's like a potential future. In a more ideal future, perhaps Power. But considering how much tragedy there is in X and Zero series, I doubt it. What's the weakness again? Okay. Yeah, if there's one thing I'd do for this level pack, it's to change up the Roadmaster weaknesses so they feel less like using the Bubble Lead against the wily alien in Mega Man 2. At least to me, the way I see it, if you're gonna pick Roadmaster weaknesses, they should either counteract their pattern or be a logical elemental weakness. Hey, Pluto. Gotta refill everything. To be honest, funny how this started out as one of the easier stages, but the boss fight makes it a bit tougher. Honestly, this is one of the cases where using the weakness makes the boss fight tougher. I'd rather just use the charge shot. I don't know. I'll have to go back through this conversation again to put heads and tails. And frankly, even Capcom doesn't exactly know what to do about the X series. Let alone its story and timeline. Alright, last key. Only if everyone else wants to change the topic. Hey, Darkman. Uh-huh. Oh, that. Of course, they had to pick the toughest one. Please stay there. Okay. Darkman kinda got a buff in this engine, so... Alrighty then, this is most of the rematch stage. Wait, I appreciate how you gave mini levels leading up to it, the finale, so that's cool. Alright, on to the final level. 69 plays, score 20. We can keep the current topic going, I'm fine with that. I'll leave it up to you. I don't recall where the music came from. It's been a year since I put this NSF pack together for something. Alright. Left. Okay. Again, I don't know. Well, I guess it gives us the option so we can switch characters. Ah, this thing again. I don't see any water graphics either. Well, there is the water line. It's being obscured by the platforms, the hovers. One last rise to the occasion to act as a breather level before final boss. I wanted to see one reiteration on this that was more difficult. My wish has been granted. Thank you, Memych. A little bit of lag, but we can solve that. I find it funny it's almost always you who keeps asking. I find it funny it's almost always you who asks, can we please switch to a different topic? Get us out of here. I can shoot better than you can. Let's go, let's save the world. Oh no. Oh, of course. The one thing that does make this difficult than some of the other packs is how we don't get E-tanks. Like, that is one thing I don't know if I would agree to keep. Well, I guess this is it. 2, 1, go. Even homes the bombs in on him, so that makes it even easier. Thank you for being so considerate, Anchor. That's it. No second phase. Let me see, is there anything more? Nope, that's it. That felt on par with the other Fortress bosses. Like, to be honest, that felt less climactic than the Stage 1 boss, to be honest. Like, with this sort of setup, I thought there was going to be a break room in the middle to refill, and then the second and final phase where we get, like, the super machine or something. But just ending with Edgar just feels anticlimactic with how things are built up. Anyways, how would I rate Robot Slayers overall? Pretty decently. For my skill level, it's decent, but to someone who wants more of a moderate challenge, who is moderately skilled, and doesn't want something that's too complicated, this is almost good to good. Remember, simpler is not necessarily a bad thing. Compared to some of the other level packs I've played recently, for the most part, it's not too punishing. The most punishing parts are in the Fortress stages, but they're the Fortress levels. And all the levels do a decent job of introducing, escalating, and ending their stages with all the gimmicks and enemy challenges. And we even get to see returns of those challenges in harder configurations during the Fortress, with the bits and pieces mixed in from other stages. My only real criticism is that I would reorder the Fortress stage bosses a bit. Also, maybe give the option to have E-tanks. It makes some of the Fortress bosses harder than some of the other harder level packs. But to be fair, this is one of the level packs where the boss fights are on par in terms of difficulty compared to the levels themselves, because in many level packs I've noticed that the boss fights are frankly easier than the stages preceding them, significantly so. So thank you for saying this, MemYCH. This was a fun little experience, and I needed a palate cleanser from the rather difficult level packs I've been playing recently. Regardless, thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow morning for the demo showcase of Escape from Ever After. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice evening or day.